Summer in Cairo, and the streets are boiling. But it's not just the heat. Democracy is on its way to the Arab world's most influential capital. A city crammed with more than 20 million souls. Anger has an outlet, and it's hissing and fizzing. Students, doctors, lawyers, Islamic groups, you name it, they're here. Their rallying cry is kifaya, enough. Enough of President Hosni Mubarak and enough of 24 years of a state of emergency. Dr. Ali Abdel Fattah is a senior Muslim Brotherhood official.
لأن عندنا عشرات الآلاف من المعتقلين في سجون مصر بلا ذنب ولا جريرة.
But this is a very Egyptian piece of democracy. It's been permitted by the state, it's confined to a tiny city corner, and they're no match for security. But that it's come even this far is in no small part due to the work of Egypt's leading democracy campaigner, Saad Eddin Ibrahim.
I continue to speak my mind on all issues. I take pride in helping to set the agenda of Egyptian public debate. We have raised issues that nobody had raised before.
Saad Eddin Ibrahim was thrown into jail 5 years ago on various charges, including fraud and damaging the good name of the state. But his real crime was something else. He spoke his mind about the state of democracy in Egypt. His case caused an international uproar. After 2.5 years, all charges were quashed.
I am enjoying my freedom. I'm enjoying the margin of fighting that I have since I got out of prison.
What are the scars from being in prison?
Scars, my health. That's the only downside of an experience that otherwise was a very rich experience. It helped me grow. It helped me know myself. It helped me know my society, my president, the Egyptian elite, the Egyptian intellectual, and also to appreciate my family and to appreciate normal, simple Egyptian people.
Dr. Ibrahim has been left with nerve damage and it's difficult for him to walk, a legacy of being sleep-deprived for weeks on end while in detention. At this family wedding, he's an honoured guest, the internationally revered freedom fighter returning to his hometown. Outside this circle of friends and family, though, the sociology professor remains a dangerous man with a dangerous mind.
The pressure is always there. I think the difference is that I have learned to manage pressure. I have learned to answer back, and to answer back very forcefully, and to speak to Mubarak directly. And that's what the role of an intellectual is, to speak truth to power.
Mubarak, of course, is President Hosni Mubarak, the most powerful man in the most powerful country in the Arab world. For the first time, he's having to campaign for election. Hosni Mubarak has been Egypt's uncontested president for nearly a quarter of a century, and he's been a valuable ally for the United States. It donates $2 billion a year to Egypt. In return, the president has been a stable friend in a hostile neighbourhood. In this room, the president doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. But Hosni Mubarak has another audience in Washington. The Americans have been paying a great deal of attention to Cairo.
You don't know what happens behind closed doors, but definitely the noise they make is the right noise. The statements they make are the right statements. And as an activist, I will take it and run with it and push for it. I do not, I give people the benefit of the doubt. I am not a professional anti-American, like many of my fellow intellectuals here and elsewhere.
Egypt matters now because the Bush administration has made it a key testing ground for bringing democracy to the Middle East. Earlier this year, the US Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice, came to town. She delivered a major speech aimed at Cairo, the heart of the Arab world.
For 60 years, my country, the United States, pursued stability at the expense of democracy in this region, here in the Middle East. And we achieved neither. Now, we are taking a different course. We are supporting the democratic aspirations of all people.
I personally welcome the assertion of her country's commitment to democracy, her admission that they had been in the wrong for 60 years by preferring stability over democracy, something that they paid dearly for on 9/11, and they will continue to pay for it so long as they stick to the stability business over freedom and democracy.
So if democracy is the answer, who will carry its torch? Ayman Noor is the kind of alternative the United States would like to encourage. He's young, he wears a suit, and he's committed to secular democracy. The 41-year-old lawyer became a cause célèbre for the United States earlier this year. He'd been detained on charges of electoral fraud, charges he denies. And when Condoleezza Rice came to Cairo, she made a point of meeting him.
هي سألت عن انطباعاتنا عن الإصلاحات في مصر، وقالت إن هي ممكن تكون بتعتقد إن ما حدث في مصر هو أن الباب بدأ يفتح للإصلاح السياسي. فأنا قلت أن هذا الباب هو باب دوار، وأن الباب الذي يفتح من وجهة نظرها هو يغلق من وجهة نظرنا، لأنه باب بيلف، فكل ما بتفتح الباب بتصطدم بباب آخر في وجهك.
Ayman Noor has become a rallying point for the disaffected in Cairo's educated urban classes.
عليك أن تذهب إلى الشارع، إلى سائق تاكسي، إلى جمهور المصريين الذين يعانون من الفقر والقهر والظلم والطوارئ. عليك أن تعرف كم هو حجم الغضب والرغبة في التغيير.
Egypt's problems would test the wisdom of the pharaohs. Top of the list is unemployment. Young men with university degrees are frustrated by the lack of professional opportunities. Ahmed Mustafa is 30 years old and a graduate in computer science. He's been driving taxis for the last 7 years.
لو لقيت وظيفة أنا مش داخل المعهد عشان أو مش داخل الدراسة بتاعتي في الكمبيوتر عشان أشتغل سواق تاكسي. أنا كان نفسي طبعا إن أنا أشتغل بشهادتي أو بمكانتي، أبقى راجل مهندس كمبيوتر محترم ليا مكتب ظريف لطيف، لكن للأسف مفيش وظيفة ومفيش مكان قابلني أو كده، فعشان كده الواحد شغال سواق تاكسي بس.
One man who sees the hardship daily is a small supermarket owner who returned from America 5 years ago.
Go back 15 or 20 years ago, the living in Egypt was better, a lot better. Now it's just a struggle. The people struggle to make a living, honestly. It's 80% of the Egyptian people, they're underground.
You mean they're so poor?
Yeah, so poor, 80%. It's very miserable, really. But what can you do? For that to be, but what, I'm only one person, what could I do?
Political Islam. It's the power of the streets. Officially, though, it's invisible. The Muslim Brotherhood is far and away the biggest opposition group here, but it's banned from running for any government elections. In Egypt's second city, Alexandria, the Muslim Brothers control the doctors' union. Its chief spokesman is Dr. Ali Abdel Fattah. He too has been sent to prison, in his case 12 times. And Dr. Fattah believes it's only a matter of time before the Brotherhood becomes part of the official political scene.
وقوة الشعبية لدى الإخوان تشكل نوع من أنواع التنافسية أمام هذا النظام الذي لا يستطيع أن يتنافس الآن. فبالتالي بيحتاج إلى قوانين استثنائية، يحتاج إلى ضربات إجهاضية ضد الإخوان المسلمين.
Back in 1954, Egypt's revolutionary president, Gamal Abdel Nasser, banned the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brothers disbanded their military operations in the mid-1960s, and since then there's been no violence committed in their name. But questions have remained over the Brotherhood's possible links with more radical offshoots, such as this group of fundamentalists on trial after the assassination of President Anwar Sadat 25 years ago. Today, the Muslim Brotherhood is not linked to Al-Qaeda, nor is it on the US list of terrorist organisations. Despite this, its members regularly serve time in prison. And with Egypt's economic problems, there's a ready support base for the Muslim Brothers.
هو بالطبع الإخوان هم جزء من نسيج هذا الشعب المصري، يستشعر بآلام هذا الشعب ويتفاعل مع آلامه.
In a country strapped for social and health services, these people look to the Muslim Brotherhood. It operates a shadow social welfare system. As it gives clearer vision, the Muslim Brotherhood wins hearts and minds. But the group isn't only getting support from the poor. Better off people like Mahmoud Zaki also subscribe to their values.
Our religion is just in Egypt. It's a lot better in US. There's no religion. Okay, everyone going in his way. But in Egypt we have mosque. I teach my kids our religion.
And you see that as being more valuable than the kind of life they would have in America?
Oh yeah.
Mahmoud Zaki spent almost 20 years in the United States before returning with his family.
Most the good people, they are in jail.
The Muslim Brotherhood?
Yeah, the Muslim Brothers. They are in jail for no reason. They don't do anything.
I guess the reason from the point of view of the government is that those people are a threat to the state.
These people don't do anything. Every 6 months they take him, they put him in jail. Every 6 months.
It's hard to know exactly how much support the Muslim Brotherhood has. Estimates vary between 30 and 50% of the population. The Muslim Brothers have abandoned their decades-old slogan, Islam is the solution. Now it's democracy is the solution. Their goal is an Islamic state, perhaps like Saudi Arabia, and the skeptics fear that with power they would be anything but democratic themselves. Certainly the United States won't be getting any favours.
أمريكا لا تريد ديمقراطية، يعني سواء صعد الإخوان أو تيار إسلامي أو حتى تيار وطني قومي عربي، لا تريد الديمقراطية بشكل حقيقي، لأن الديمقراطية بشكل حقيقي معناها تيار متصاعد يرفض الانحياز الأمريكي لصالح إسرائيل، يرفض بقاء إسرائيل محتلة ومغتصبة الأرض فلسطين كلها، يرفض بقاء أمريكا محتلة للعراق، يرفض النظام العالمي الجديد القائم على الظلم.
Even the poorest are watching satellite TV, and the publicity for America is all bad. Its attempts to bring democracy to Iraq are the nightly horror show.
Iraq was supposed to be a model in regime transition from non-democratic to democratic rule. Instead, it became a quagmire and a bloody exercise. And that is definitely not good for the Iraqis, not good for the United States, not good for the region, not good for us as democracy advocates.
This is America's dilemma, both here in Egypt and the broader Middle East. If it wants true democracy, it risks the rise of an Islamic government. If it wants stability, it risks more and more anger and more converts to extremist Islam. So, in the meantime, the United States is backing the gradual reform of Hosni Mubarak, and at the same time fostering the growth of a new political class. President Mubarak is promising change, including an end to emergency rule and opening up the state-run media. There's no sign yet, though, that the president will be bringing the Muslim Brotherhood inside the political tent. Do you think that if an Islamic organisation continues to be shut out of democracy, is there the risk in the future of violence against the ruling regime?
أنا أظن أن العنف يأتي من غياب الحرية. العنف يأتي من غياب الحريات، اللي بدليل إن إحنا جربنا قانون الطوارئ عبر 50 سنة والعنف استمر.
You will have to deal with them sooner or later, because they are not going to disappear. They have been on the scene, something like the Muslim Brothers, since 1928. So we're talking now about nearly 80 years. And I am arguing that engage them, and it is only engagement that will moderate them and will give democracy the kind of credibility it deserves.
This is one you often refer to, and I think
Today, Dr. Ibrahim and his wife Barbara are unpacking the past.
seem to be social theory.
67-year-old academic is moving into his new study.
Here's one we've been looking for, right here. Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela book, yes. I got in prison and was quite an inspiration.
He cherishes the book Nelson Mandela sent him in prison.
Egypt needs more Saadettin Ibrahim. I'm very proud of him and what he does. And as I said, I think he's inspiring now a lot of other people to take risks, and that's what we need around here.
He acknowledges there's a fear of what democracy might deliver in Egypt.
Of course, the fear is legitimate. But since when do we allow fear to paralyze us? If you allow fear to paralyze you and to stagnate and to keep the status quo, that means you are really helping dictators to remain in power. Somebody like Hosni Mubarak will remain in power forever. I would rather take the risk than live with a dictator.
By the end of another presidential term, Hosni Mubarak will be 82. In the last few months, he's been talking a lot about change and free and fair elections. By his actions, though, he will show how far the US can push democracy, not only in Egypt, but in the entire Middle East.